What's up everyone, my name is Ale. Welcome back to my world of stocks. In today's video, we're talking all about dividends, and to be more specific, we're going to be running through 10 different kind of lessons or tips that I've picked up on throughout my investing journey when it comes to dividends. Now, this isn't going to be anything too crazy. I want it to be more beginner friendly so that I can just kind of help any of you beginners out there to get in the right mindset and strategy when thinking about dividends and trying to navigate your way through them. These are really 10 points that I wish I would have put more emphasis on, that I wish I would have appreciated more right at the start of my investing journey, specifically in relation to dividends. So I think it's a lot of useful information here that we're going to run through. If you like these kind of quick little helpful videos, please consider subscribing to the channel because we do stock market videos all the time. But with that said, let's just go ahead and jump straight into the list. All right, and starting first here with lesson number 1 that I've learned, it's that dividend stocks can be used as a great way of adding some stability to my portfolio. And I'll be honest with you guys, when I first started investing in stocks, I used to have some pretty out there holdings, even as some of my biggest stocks. I remember one of my biggest holdings was a company called Lifeway Foods, which is actually just a kefir yogurt company. And I remember I bought the stock just because I liked their product. I liked the kefir yogurt. I would drink it myself. I thought it was a good product. So I bought the stock. However, the stock itself was actually very volatile and it was kind of all over the place. And if you fast forward to today, I'm a lot more disciplined than that. My biggest holdings are in some of the biggest, most profitable, kind of reliable companies out there like Microsoft and others. But I still like to hold a wide array of different stocks and also at different risk points. And what I've learned is that by adding some dividend paying stocks into my portfolio, I can actually get quite a bit of stability from them. And there's a few reasons for that. For one, dividend paying companies tend to be a bit more boring, but are also very kind of stable, reliable, and profitable companies. I mean, they have to be in order to be able to pay out dividends. Now, the way that they attract investors to them is by paying out those dividends. That's one way that they get people excited about the stock that maybe otherwise wouldn't be, because it's just not as an exciting or innovative a company as maybe some others. But they can attract investors by rewarding them with their profits in the form of dividends. Another reason why they're so stable is because they tend to trade within a certain price range because of their dividends. If the dividend yield gets too high or too low, the stock price will usually correct itself to kind of balance out with that dividend yield. Obviously, that's not going to always be the case with every single dividend stock out there, but it's something that I've noticed happens quite often with a lot of dividend stocks. And because of that, they tend to be a lot less volatile than other options out there in the market, especially even during a volatile economy or times of uncertainty. Which brings me now to lesson number 2, which is that dividends can make valuing a stock so much easier. Now, as a long-term investor, I am constantly looking for deep discounts on stocks so that I can maximize my profit potential over time. Well, with dividends, it couldn't be more easier to not only spot these opportunities, but also to get some huge benefits from them too. Because just think about it, guys, when a stock price is crashing, when it's going down, the dividend yield is oftentimes going up. And so if you're able to catch it at that right moment, assuming that it's a good stock, assuming it's a company you believe in, and you catch it when the stock price is down and the dividend yield is high, well, you're not only going to be locking in a much higher dividend yield than anyone else, which, by the way, if the company continues to increase their dividend payouts over time, your dividend yield will get even bigger than it already is. But on top of that, the stock itself will oftentimes rebound by a huge amount in order to correct that dividend yield, which I explained earlier. So because of that, you not only get gains from the dividend, the much higher dividend yield, but also from a recovering stock price. And I'll give you a perfect example of when this happened to me. Quite a while back, AbbVie stock crashed by a huge amount because they announced that they were going to be acquiring Allergan, and Wall Street hated the move, so the stock crashed and the dividend yield skyrocketed to over 7%. Well, I actually liked the move. I liked the acquisition and I believed in the company, so I bought AbbVie stock on that dip. And I not only locked in some huge dividend yields above 7%, but AbbVie continued to increase their dividends over time, so my dividend yield is now around 9%, whereas anyone else who is still not in AbbVie stock, they only get a dividend yield of around 4% now. And the reason why is because the stock price rebounded just like I thought it would, because it wanted to correct that dividend yield. So So the dividend yield was super high, the stock price was super low, that corrected itself. I ended up making over 100% gains in terms of how much I'm up on the stock today. I'm up by over 100% on my AbbVie stock. So I not only doubled my AbbVie stock, but I'm also collecting around a 9% yield, which is like around double what anybody else is getting in the stock. So that's not always going to be the case with every dividend stock out there. Sometimes a crashing stock price means that the company is failing. They may actually end up cutting the dividend, and then you could be left holding the bag, with a horrible position there. And I'll talk more about that a little later in this video. But assuming that it's a good company, assuming it's a good stock, and you made the right call there and you picked up the stock when it was low and the dividend yield was high, you could end up extracting huge value from dividend stocks. And that's actually going to bring me now to lesson number 3, which is that dividends can be some of the best performers out there, even during times of uncertainty or weak macro economies, during periods of panic and fear where everyone is not, refusing to buy stocks. Well, dividend stocks are usually some of the most stable, profitable companies out there that not only fall less during a down period in the market, but they also tend to rebound much faster, again, because of having to balance out that stock price with the dividend yield. And therefore, they oftentimes outperform all other types of stocks in the market. In fact, according to a study from Hartford Funds, from the 1970s to last year, stocks from the S&P 500 that actually paid dividends completely outperformed both the broader S&P 500 as well as the group of stocks that did not pay any dividends. And it's not even close, guys. They completely destroyed them. On top of that, the study also showed that dividend-paying stocks had significantly less volatility than those that do not pay dividends, as you can see on the beta and the standard deviation measurements there. Basically, the lower that those numbers are, the less volatility. So in times of fear, in times of uncertainty, and especially when the market is falling, don't sleep on dividend stocks. Some of my best pickups ever in my entire history of investing were in dividend stocks that initially crashed by huge amounts, but later recovered, and I just made huge gains on them. Which brings me now to lesson number 4, and that is to invest early and invest often, even in small amounts. Just get in these stocks, because one mistake that I've seen so many people make, and I've even made it myself, is that they will stay out of certain stocks because they're chasing a lower price, or when it comes to dividends, a lot of times they're chasing a bigger yield. In other words, they're kind of hoping that a stock will fall so that they can get a much higher yield than what it's currently at. And that's not necessarily a mistake. It's something that I actually preach to you guys all the time, that we should be buying more heavily when a stock price is going down, not necessarily when it's going up. However, I'm also a big believer in time in the market, not timing the market, because none of us are fortune tellers. We can't predict exactly where the best price is going to be. And the more time that you stay out of a dividend stock, those are periods of time where you could have been collecting dividends and you're not, because you just keep thinking that a better price is coming. So rather than doing that, I've always felt that the better strategy is, if I really like the stock and I think that it's trading at a fair valuation, I think it's a good deal, I'm going to pick it up. I'm not going to just be waiting until I get the best absolute price on it. In fact, even if I pick it up and it was to crash, that doesn't even really bother me. And I've never understood why everyone panics so much and hates that so much. I've made videos where I talk about myself buying a stock and then that stock goes down 10%. And then I get comments from people, not all people, obviously, like most of you are amazing people, but sometimes I'll get like the occasional hater that will leave a comment saying, oh, see, your stock fell by 10%, you're an idiot, or, things like that. And I don't even get why that's such a bad thing. If I buy a stock and it goes down, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to buy more, because if I liked it at $100, why wouldn't I like it at $90? Not only did the stock price go down, which makes it cheaper, which makes the valuation better, but the dividend yield probably went higher. So when it comes to dividends, especially, I'm going to buy a stock if I like it. And if it goes down, it's so easy to just buy more. I'll not only lower my cost basis, but I will also increase my dividend yield. It's so simple. And by the way, it doesn't even have to be a big amount that I have to invest in stocks. I feel like that's a trick that society uses to keep people poor, is to tell them that you have to be rich, you have to be investing with huge amounts of money to really benefit from the stock market. Guys, we live in a world where fractional shares exist. You can buy a stock for as little as $1 a share. There is nothing holding you back from investing in stocks. Only your negative mindset is holding you back. And if you put those $5 into a stock rather than spending it on McDonald's or something else, it'll grow over time and it'll get bigger over time. In fact, that's going to bring me now to lesson number 5, which is compound investing, which is one of the most powerful tools out there in investing, and it is extremely powerful when it comes to dividends. Now, if you've never heard of compound interest, it's basically where you make interest on your interest. So right now we're talking about dividends, right? Well, when you collect the dividend payment, you could withdraw that money and waste it on something, or you could reinvest it back into the same stock or another dividend paying stock. And then guess what? You're going to be collecting dividends on more stock because you increase your stock position. So not only does your initial stock position get bigger, but also the dividends that you collect also get bigger, and both of them will snowball and accumulate and get larger and larger over time. And it's a very powerful thing. In fact, for example, look at this other chart here that shows what would happen if you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 since 1960. Well, if it was invested with no dividends, it would turn into just a bit over $500,000. That's pretty good, right? Well, if it was invested using a compound dividend reinvestment strategy, it would have turned into over $4 million. Guys, that's a gigantic difference. That's a difference from $10,000 helping you one day retire to $10,000 making you richer than you ever thought was even possible. So don't sleep on dividend reinvestments. Very powerful. That will bring me now to lesson number 6, though, which is to manually choose where your dividend reinvestments go. Now, I will just say that this is not the standard recommendation. I would say that most financial experts will tell you to just reinvest the dividends automatically back into the same stock, because that way it's more of a hands-off approach. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to look at it. You're not going to be tempted to withdraw your dividends. It's just going to be automatically reinvesting itself, and it'll grow larger over time. And it's a very good point. And I think for the average casual stock market investor, I think it's absolutely what they should be doing. However, what I've learned about myself is that I actually enjoy hand picking, individually picking every single stock that I invest in. I enjoy doing research on every single stock, and I enjoy keeping up to date and tracking my stocks every single day. So if that's the case, if I'm always staying up to date with the stock market and my stock market portfolio, and I actually enjoy it and it's fun to me, then why in the world would I let my dividends get reinvested into the same stock if there might be another dividend paying stock out there that is trading at a better price or with a better dividend? Naturally, I'm going to want my funds to go to the best places, because it's what I always do with stocks. I always handpick the best stocks. I don't just invest in broad-based ETFs or indexes. I like to pick my stocks individually, and I do the same with dividends. Again, the casual investor probably shouldn't be doing that because they might be tempted to withdraw those funds. But for me, I have the discipline to take those profits and reinvest it into the best possible stocks at the moment. And I believe that that does give me much bigger returns over time. Now, all of this, though, everything that we've talked about so far is under the assumption that these are actually some really good, reliable dividend stocks, which is not always guaranteed. And so lesson number 7 is to primarily try to search out strong businesses with a high barrier to entry and solid balance sheets. You really want a company here that has not only been profitable for many years, but that has also shown an ability to grow those profits over time too, if you can get it. And I know that throughout my investing journey with dividends, one of the things that I've really tried to focus on a lot heavier over time is that high barrier to entry, because you want your company here to be not only hopefully a market leader or very competitive, but you also want them to have a strong pricing power, a strong moat. You want them to be able to increase their prices over time and launch new products and services without having to worry too much about rising competitors. So a high barrier to entry really helps with that. And so what I've done, and I'm not perfect and nobody's perfect, but what I've at least tried to do is with dividend stocks, many times I've tried to focus on market leaders, especially for my dividend stocks. And so to give you some examples here, in the biotech space, I mean, I own Pfizer, I own Merck. These are giant behemoths that are likely to never disappear. I have Verizon, which is a leader in telecom with the highest quality rating for decades. And there's a big barrier to entry there in terms of all the cell towers and fiber infrastructure. I also own Medtronic, which is a world leader in medical devices. JP Morgan Chase, a leader in banking. I own PepsiCo, who's a world leader in snacks and beverages. And these are all just really types of things that I consider when I'm choosing my dividend stocks. I want very large, profitable companies with proven leadership. And of course, the balance sheet is also very critical when choosing dividend stocks, because you want to make sure that they have a very good balance sheet in order to survive times of uncertainty, weak macroeconomic periods of time, and hopefully not have to cut their dividend. I've made many videos on balance sheets, explaining how balance sheets work and what to look for. If you want to learn more, just search my channel, it should pop right up. But that's actually going to lead us now to lesson number 8, which is heavily tied to that one. And that's that dividends are a lot easier to be cut than you might think. So diversify, diversify, diversify. I cannot say it enough, guys. If you put all your eggs in one basket or even 2 or 3 baskets, and then a recession hits or a couple market disruptors come up and start stealing market share from your dividend paying companies, they will not hesitate to cut their dividends. In fact, it's one of the first things to go when a company is taking severe damage, which not only means that you no longer get a dividend, but the stock price itself will probably crash too, because it's one of the main reasons why investors are buying that stock in the first place is for that dividend. So you could be losing on both fronts. So you don't want to get caught holding too much of your portfolio in just a few different stocks. You want to diversify. You want many different dividend payers. And ideally, you also want them to be across different sectors and industries. You want to have a wide variety. It's not that complicated, guys. Keep it simple. Just diversify your portfolio and you'll thank me later. And this actually ties very well into lesson number 9 too, which is to never buy a stock just because of the dividend alone. Just because the stock is crashing, just because the dividend yield skyrockets does not mean that the stock is a buy. And I've seen so many people make this mistake, and I've made this mistake too, guys. Like, none of us are perfect. Oftentimes we'll see a stock price crashing, the dividend yield skyrockets, and we think, man, we got to get that stock. We have to be collecting that dividend. I got to get it now. But you might have not even liked the company in the first place. And then what happens if the company ends up cutting that dividend? Then you're left with a stock here that you didn't even like in the first place. You never even cared about the company before. You no longer get the dividend. The stock price is probably crashing and you're left holding the bag with all of it. So avoid that if you can. All the same rules apply here as regular stock market investing, guys, when it comes to dividends. You have to know the company, know the products and services. Ideally, you might even be using some of the products and services yourself, but at least understand them very well. Understand the market that they operate in. You have to like the company, like the stock first, then think about the dividend. And I know that it's tempting to do the opposite of that, but I think you'll be better served if you focus on getting a quality company with a quality business and a quality dividend. If you can get all of that in one package, those are the best dividend stocks to invest in long term. All right, guys, that's going to leave us now with lesson number 10. And look, I know some people are going to say that this one is maybe not as useful. It's maybe a little dumb, but I don't really care. Whenever I make beginner-friendly videos, whenever I do these kind of advice or tips type of videos for you guys, I always try to make it a habit to remind you guys to have fun. And that's lesson number 10. Have fun. Enjoy the process, because I see it happen all the time, guys. I have a YouTube channel. I get comments from everyone, and I see so many people stressing out so much over stocks, investing with money that they clearly cannot afford to lose. I mean, people investing their life savings, people investing their rent money. Don't do that, guys. Invest with money that you feel comfortable investing with and enjoy the process. I'm pretty sure that people that stress out so much about stock market investing are making mistakes because they don't enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy it, you're going to be much more likely to hate doing the work, hate doing the research, and that's going to lead to poor decisions. But if you actually enjoy it, if you relax, if you're proud of yourself for becoming a part owner of Microsoft, becoming a part owner of Apple, these are huge deals, guys. With dividends, you're putting your money to work for you rather than the other way around. You're making passive income. This is one of the most beautiful things in life, is to have your money work for you. Be proud of it, guys. Be proud of it and have fun. Enjoy the process, enjoy researching stocks, enjoy picking them, and enjoy staying up to date with them. If you do that, I promise you, it's going to be so much easier and you're going to make better decisions. But that's just my opinion. You guys can let me know down in the comment section. Do you think any of these lessons are helpful? Do you like any of them? Do you think any of them will help you out? If so, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel, because it really helps me out a lot. And if you have any questions, drop them for me down below. I'll respond to your comments. I'll try to help you out. And if you want to join our channel's Discord, where you can hang out with me and others from the community and talk about stocks and everything, you can sign up on Patreon down in the description, and that also helps support my channel, which means the world to me. So thank you for any support at all. But I hope you're all doing well. I wish you the best of luck on your dividend investing journey, and I will catch you in the next video, my friends. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.